We are here today with a very special guest, Ellen Gould White, who we affectionately call Sister White. She's here today pointing towards the things in the Bible, things that we just don't understand, and things that if the rest of the world were to read the Bible enough, perhaps they would understand, but she's here as our last day messenger to clear these things up. Of course, the most important thing, I think, is the plan of salvation. When was the plan of salvation made?
The kingdom of grace was instituted immediately after the fall of man, when a plan was devised for the redemption of the guilty race. Great Controversy, page 347.
Now, how did Eve get tempted? Didn't she have Adam there to protect her?
The angels had cautioned Eve to beware of the separating herself from her husband while occupied in their daily labor in the garden. With him, she would be in less temptation than if she were alone. But absorbed in her pleasing task, she uncuriously wandered from his side. On perceiving that she was alone, she felt apprehension of danger, soon found herself gazing with mingled curiosity and admiration upon the forbidden tree. Patriarchs and Prophets, page 53 and 54.
So Eve sinned. So then did the serpent deceive Adam as well?
Satan, who is the father of lies, deceived Adam in a similar way, telling him that he need not to obey God, that he would not die if he transgressed the law. Evangelism, page 598.
Now, because of their sin, they were cast out of Eden. Their sons, Cain and Abel, never saw Eden and did not, or they didn't live in Eden, and they did not commit the sin that caused their ejection, their parents' ejection from Eden. But we see Cain sinning soon after. There's not much told between that time, but Cain was sinning soon after, and we see that in his unacceptable sacrifice. Who told Cain that his sacrifice was unacceptable?
Through an angel messenger, the divine warning was conveyed. If thou does well, shall thou not be accepted. Patriarchs and Prophets, page 74.
Now, after Cain's sin got worse and worse, what was the greatest sin that caused God to say, that's enough?
But if there was one sin above another which called for the destruction of the race by the flood, it was based on crime of evangelism of man and beast, which defaced the image of God and caused confusion everywhere. Spiritual Gifts, volume 3, page 64.
How awful that amalgamation was. So God had Noah built the ark, and the 8 were inside along with the animals, while there were people while the rest of the world was outside.
Every species of animal which God had created was preserved in the ark. The confused species which God did not create, which were the results of evangelism, were destroyed by the flood. Since the flood, there has been amalgamation of God and beast, as may be seen in the almost endless varieties of species and animals and the certain race of men. Spiritual Gifts, volume 3, page 75.
Oh yeah, that's just so awful that God needed to purge the world of that, and so those beasts So those beasts were outside of the ark, along with the mockers and the scorners.
An angel is seen by the scoffing multitude descending from heaven, clothed with brightness like the lightning. He closes that massive outer door and takes his course upward to heaven again. Spiritual Gifts, Volume 3, page 68, written in 1864.
So the angel closed the door while the scoffers are outside, and they saw all this, that the angel came from heaven and closed the door. I wonder what they were thinking at that time. That must have been something else. But nevertheless, the angel closed the door.
This system was corporated before the flood by those who separated themselves from the faithful followers of God and engaged in their building of towers of Babel. Spiritual Gifts, Volume 3, page 301.
Yeah, the Tower of Babel was one of my favorite stories. Could you tell me a little bit more?
The dwellers on the plain of Shinar disbelieved God's covenant that he would not again bring a flood upon earth. Many of them denied the existence of God and attributed the flood of the operation of natural causes. One object before them in the erection of the tower was the secure their own safety in case of another deluge. By carrying the structure to which many greater heights than was reached by the waters of the flood, they thought to place themselves beyond the possibilities of danger, and as they would be able to ascend to the region of the clouds, which hoped to ascertain the cause of the flood. Patriarchs and Prophets, page 119.
Another favorite story is when Elijah went to the desert. Could you comment on Elijah in the desert?
There he honored Elijah by sending food to him morning and evening by an angel of heaven. Testimonies, Volume 3, page 288, written in 1873.
Well, I want to thank you so much for your time today. That's actually all the questions I have for you today. And I'll be back. I'll have you back another time so that we can talk about some other things. And I just want to thank you so much for all the commentaries that you've made today to help us really see the Bible a whole lot clearer.